who the fuck we are. We're gonna show them who the fuck we are. Bowman, Bowman. Listen. Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! We are not going to stand silent while U.S. tax dollars kills babies. We're going to show them who the fuck we are.
We're going to show them who the fuck we are. We're going to show them who the fuck we are. Man, you're not going to be able to vote your way out of this. You're not going to be able to vote your way out of this. It almost reminded me of an ANC convention in South Africa. Anyone ever seen an ANC convention in South Africa where you they have the blacks and they have their rally chant is "Kill the Boers," and Jamal Bowman there, fat, out of shape, dressed like a hood boy, b-boy, one of the sleeves rolled up, one rolled down, shirt half tucked, half not tucked. Man, just the language. We're going to show them who the fuck we are. I think we all see who you are. Only the people that don't want to pay attention can't see who the fuck you are. Again, you're not going to vote your way out of this. I wanted to do a weekend review. I wanted to do a story, and I'm going to do that maybe tomorrow. A stream on should you use a real estate agent? A lot of changes in the real estate business, particularly as it relates to real estate agents. And I think it's one of those things where you're probably, if you're looking to buy or sell a house in the next couple of years, you're going to find it. Things have changed quite a bit as it relates to real estate agents and the commissions on the buyer sellers. I think it's going to be a big improvement. The prices of the commissions are probably going to go to zero for many of the agents. And I'm going to tell you a story about a house that I sold recently, and I was listening to Patrick Bet-David. He was talking about selling a house, and the thought hit me like, damn, did I even need an agent? What did the agent do? And there were some things that I was able to do that the agent couldn't have done. And if I hadn't been there, and oftentimes they say when you sell your house, it's best not to be there. Maybe that's the case if you're selling a home that you live in. You may not want to suffer that criticism, but if it's a rental property or something like that, you probably want to be there so you can get the criticism or answer the questions that someone may have, because it may be the difference in selling your house or not. And that was the case with me. I had a person come by. House was fairly nicely staged, but he was concerned about parking in the neighborhood. A real estate agent couldn't have answered that question for him, but I could. Furthermore, I was able to introduce him to some neighbors who could give him kind of a little bit better assurance about the parking in the neighborhood. And the parking was key for him because, well, he was a Hispanic contractor, so he had a lot of cars and commercial trucks, and certain neighborhoods you can't legally park them on the street. And if you do, you get ticketed. Some neighborhoods, they kind of look the other way if you have a commercial truck parked on the street, and you can get away with it. So that is what this guy was concerned about. And it was good that I was there when he came by to see the place because I was able to answer those questions. And there was a couple of things. Someone mentioned to me over the weekend or something about a stream they saw me on Ben Thorpe's stream. And I'm going to see if I can play a little bit of that. I thought it was pretty interesting. Let me see if I can play that. I'm going to get it at the right point here. I think it's about, let me see what the guy says. He says maybe it's about 3 minutes in. But it's interesting. It was about COVID. And I think we had get crack for me. He may have been there at the time. But anyway, I thought it was a pretty good. I'm going to see if I can cue it up, and we'll go to some of the interesting points here while I'm queuing it up. Meanwhile, if anyone is in the chat section, they have questions, feel free to pop on. Someone last week asked me about, I think Ben Thorpe or something, say, hey, what's Ben Thorpe's proposal to you? I can't remember who that was. Maybe it was Innate or someone. I can't remember. Mabbit. Let me see if anyone's in the comments here. They can chime in. Knowing CP, it'll probably be noon. CP, DJMFB. I guess he's talking about CT's show. CT's apparently he's doing a Star Trek show today. If you guys are interested, you should definitely check it out. Let's see. I guess we got time to chill here. 40 minutes. CT starts at 10:30. So if you guys want to catch CT and you're interested in Star Trek, it should be an interesting discussion there. But anyway, let me go back. Let me see if I can find this. Because we often can't talk about COVID. Oftentimes people are monetized, things like that, and I understand that. So they can't talk about COVID. But I'm not monetized, and it's not really, I think COVID is more important to me than the money that I will make not talking about it. So let's, and you know, I know some of you probably have the same sentiments where you want to talk about COVID, but in many of the channels that are monetized, you really can't. So if you have some questions or comments, you want to get it off, yeah, they'll get you up out of here for talking COVID. I don't think so. I was on Ben, and I'm going to show you Ben's stream that I was on. Again, someone saw me here, and they sent it to me. And, well, if you want to come up and talk about it, yeah, we'll call you. You use whatever euphemism that you want, but let's get started.
What have I lied about? I ain't lied about taking that shot. I didn't lie about taking that shot, and you didn't either. Tell me how many you took now. Since you took it, tell us how many you took. I'm also curious now to know how many damn COVID tests.
We got to know how many boosters.
How many damn COVID tests have you taken?
John, I've never even had a flu. I've never had a flu shot.
How many did you take? How many COVID tests did you take? I'm really curious.
Kenzie's getting called out.
Yeah, did you ask for Fauci's degree? I guarantee you this.
Remember, Fauci is the science.
You go look up Fauci's whole career. I bet you he's never done a PCR test in a lab. I bet she's never done it, but I have. And you trusted that man. So tell us, where is she in the chat? I want to know how many did you take? I want to know both. How many tests have you taken in the last, do it from 20?
All right. She wants you to specify tests or vaccines.
Both. I want to know how many shots she took.
Come on, Mackenzie, give it up.
And how many
you put that Q-tip in the back of your brain?
Right.
She said
every time you wanted to go, every time you took that test to go on vacation, or to do this, or to do that, or to go for a wedding. I want to know how many times.
Oh, bro, dude, my wife was telling me, dude, my wife, she's in a corporate retail, and she said you wouldn't believe how many people would use that. I got COVID and I tested positive for COVID as a way to get a week or two off work all the time.
Listen, I've never even taken the test.
Dad, we can say it now, right? It's not a big deal.
Yeah,
we did.
Stanley, hey,
yeah, that's
Stanley.
fine.
Once you come up here on the stream, Stanley says, "Ask me how many." I'm not even going to ask you,
fellas, boys. I'm unjabbed, fellas.
No, that's not true.
Drop the link. Drop John's link. Come on, you need to promote it.
Oh yeah, hold on, let me do that.
Where's McKinney? Did she leave the chat already?
She wasn't even some sub to you. Who cares?
Oh, here she is.
Okay. Now, you see these liberals, they come. I have no idea.
I have no idea how many tests. My mom was going through chemo, so it's a lot.
Sweetie, I tell you this.
Sweetie.
my mother had cancer. Had both her breasts chopped off. She used to beg me to wear the mask. I said, I ain't wearing this shit. You wear two of them. Well, one for me, one for you. I ain't wearing it. And I never did. So I ain't gonna let you hide behind that chemo and all that bullshit, because for the first 40 years of my life, people were going through chemo and they never wore a mask around their family members when they were going through chemo. So you just spouting government propaganda and that's why you went and rolled up your sleeve. And I wondered, did you at least get a hamburger or something like the niggers did? Please tell me, you at least got a hamburger or some French fries like the niggers did.
Hey, John, what about the steaks?
A gift card
That we're giving
Did
away
you
$1
get a
million.
hamburger? Did you get a hamburger like the niggers?
You remember the steak?
She said she's had at least 5, John. At least 5.
Oh,
Wow.
Loaded it up.
Anyway, that was me on Ben Thorpe show, and I thought, will DC look like South Africa? Maybe the main part of South Africa. Was it the best city, Joburg or something like that? But I would imagine that someone says 5 jabs. But I would imagine that large parts of the country will, just descend. But the nation's capital will always be fine. New York probably will always be fine. But I think that video of Bowman is kind of where the politics are heading in America. It's almost kind of amazing to see a black congressman jumping up and down using a congressman, or black or whatever, jumping up and down out of control, grabbing a stool, cursing, things like that. It's almost amazing to see that. And he wasn't the only one that was on display this weekend. I don't know how many of you saw the Congress, the judge down in Fulton County, and I mean, she really showed her tail. Let's see if we can find an argument of that. And you're going to see some of the same things you've seen in other videos, some of the same type of the mentality. And I'm going somewhere with this. Give me a minute, kind of the weekend review. I'm going to get to the Georgetown guy in a second. It'll probably be my last time talking about him. He's finally gone. But I want to just, we got Tyrone here. Tyrone, we will change this whole topic. If you want to get up here and talk, that's fine. Let's take a look at this. This judge. Yeah. Make sure you pay attention when her weave comes off her head.
No, he just punched me. Everything for no reason. Let him fucking go. Let him fucking go. Let him fucking go. Let him fucking go. That's a cop.
Do y'all see that wig on the ground right there? Anyone in the comments? Anyone in the comments see that wig on the ground right there? It's right there, right up above that police officer's arm.
And that's on me. Shit. No, I didn't. I don't punch niggas. Don't punch me. No.
Ma'am,
Take me where you want to take me.
I can't take
No,
you. I don't
take
have any
me.
identification
And
on
I don't care. You don't need the identification. You have
Yes, I
locked
do.
people up and you have picked up dead bodies when you don't know who bodies it was,
Yeah.
but you picked them up.
Man,
Take me where you need to take me.
I'm trying to.
No, take me where you need to take me immediately, expeditiously.
And you're preventing that.
Take me. I could give a damn. Take me where you want to
So
take
how do you want me to take you somewhere
now.
expeditiously?
Now. Take me.
Again, I tell you, a United States judge in a major American city, would you want to be judged by this woman? I don't think so. But many people are finding themselves in a position to be judged by this woman, including, not her, but President Trump finds himself being, judged or prosecuted again by women just like this. Really, truly amazing how we've descended in America. But speaking of Donald Trump, since I'm going on a tangent here, has anyone ever seen the Fire movie? I think it's Fire in Philadelphia. Anyone ever seen that before? You can put a yes or no in the chat if you've seen it. Well, anyway, it was about some blacks in Philadelphia that were burned out. criminal blacks, and I guess they held hostage in a building and they end up getting burned out. And Donald Trump held a rally there. You may not have heard much of it on the news there, but there was no news of the rally that Trump performed more or less at the old fire bomb building that the blacks were bombed out of back in Philadelphia. Yeah, move. EAE. I'm glad we have people in the chat here because he definitely corrected me. Yeah, he went to Philadelphia. I mean, that's a real bravado move to go into the ghetto of that area like that and have a rally. So I think that's going to be interesting, considering that I think the first time he ran, he had a hard time performing rallies in Chicago. I think they even banned the rally in Chicago. But you know what got me here this morning? I was going to do a couple other topics, but I've mentioned this several times now, that most of the blacks that I've talked to, they've seen me on CT show or a couple other shows, or even here. And there's been somewhat of a subtle threat. Every time I talk to someone, there is a subtle threat of what I better not do or what I better not say in this case. And I'm not saying or doing anything illegally. I'm not talking about things that I've done illegally. But a lot of these blacks are issuing subtle threats to me. And it's more or less what they're projecting, what they know other blacks will do. And I think there is some credence to that. That there are a lot of blacks out here that don't want to hear certain things being said. And they will do almost anything to quiet you. So I imagine that CT and any other guys that are podcasting kind of experience the same thing here, and that you're going to get a little bit of criticism. You really have to have a stiff spine because no one wants to be attacked or doxxed or whatever the hell these other people are doing or threatening you with doing. Anyway, just kind of interesting. The other topic I wanted to cover to kind of finish it off was that Georgetown guy. Most of you are familiar with the Georgetown guy, my tenant that he's having a hard time, and he beat his girlfriend up severely. And I think most of you, if you've seen the text messages that I've had with this guy, he would be, you would say that I've been pretty fair with the guy. One second. I've done a pretty good job of, trying to mentor the guy as much as possible, being accommodating for him in terms of, him being behind on rent, things like that. So over the weekend, he asked me to put his things outside for him so he could come by and pick them up. And his girlfriend's things were in the bunch of things that were in the room that I had to remove. Well, the girlfriend who just got her ass whooped, I guess she sent her family to pick the things up. Oh, someone says they don't have the link here. Oh, I'm really sorry. I would have had people up here. Huh? Yeah, anyone else want the link? Feel free to join. I just put it in the chat. Now I'm going to pin it to the top. Let me see if I can pin it to the top. Let me make sure everyone has it. Yeah, anyone else, feel free to join. But anyway, so this guy who, by all accounts, I've done nothing but extend a helping hand and favor to him. He turned against me now. I may be able to show you some of the text messages, but threats and things like that against me. But one of the things that's interesting, I'll see if I can find it. I mentioned to him that you have all this education, but you can't even find a job, or if anything, it seems to me that you've been scammed, that college is a scam. And I think I showed you guys this text message from last week. And I'll show it to you now. Anyone want to jump on the chat, feel free. And again, just look at the terminology. I'm fucked, yo. Fucked up and devastated. And this is a Georgetown graduate.
26 years old, feeling that his life is fucked up and devastating. I'm broken and I'm hurt. It's a grown man, young man, with the bulk of his life in front of him. And he's broken and hurt. Son says, you got to be careful, John. Julio. You know, I saw that. You know, and I can comment to that. One of the things that, and I'm not saying it's foolproof, one of the things that I've used in my career is I don't argue with people. Because oftentimes you've heard the song 0 to 100, you know, Drake or someone. A lot of times if you back a black up into an intellectual corner, that's obviously what I would be doing. I wouldn't be going back and forth and calling names. I want to get to the solution of the matter. The matter is you paying me rent and you're gonna move. Well, if you back a black up into that type of corner, hell yeah, you can be violent. But I never do that. You know, I don't think I've probably only a handful of times all my career demanded payment from someone. They're going to pay you, they're going to pay you. If they're not going to pay you, well, then you got to handle the business. But talking to blacks and pushing them into, putting anyone really, but blacks in particular, backing them up into corners, it just never has made sense to me. Because what's he going to say at this point? At that point, he can't say anything. His only other alternative at this point now is violence. So I've always made sure that I never push them in a corner to where they're only out is violence. Actually, it's kind of maybe I learned that from Machiavelli. And I'm going to see if I can find this Machiavelli quote. Maybe it's Sun Tzu. Could be Sun Tzu. Let me see if I can. And people in the chat know what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I mean here. I think it's Sun Tzu. Yeah, it definitely was. It was Sun Tzu. Anyone in the chat familiar with Sun Tzu? I know a lot of people read Sun Tzu. He said, someone EAE says, women will destroy your life. Wish I knew that earlier. He needs to focus on him and worry about getting a decent woman born a decade after him when he gets settled. You know, EAE, I wish you joined the panel here. We can have a little back and forth about that. I'm not sure if I agree with you in saying that women will destroy your life. I think men destroy their lives in pursuit of women. So it's not the women per se, it's the pursuit of women, kind of like the pursuit of money or that ruins your life. But let me pull up this quote from Sun Tzu. And, you know, I want to say I've used this somewhat. Here's a quote. Let me see. Should I share the screen? Or what should I do here? Trying to see how best to present this here. Let's see. We're going to pull up a couple quotes from Sun Tzu. See if I can find the one. I think I found it here, so here it is. I'm going to pull up this one instead. Here it is. And in a second, I'm going to pull up some comments. So this is from Reddit. I should have went to a quotes page, but I think this presented it pretty effectively here. So let me pull this up. When you surround an army, leave an outlet free. Do not press a desperate foe too hard. This may be paraphrasing Sun Tzu, but I think it's a pretty good representation of what Sun Tzu is effectively saying. Is you don't want to corner someone where they have no out, and that leaves them only one other option, that is to fight. And I don't want to fight. I just want you out of my house. So I'm going to leave you an avenue where you can escape unscathed. And by and large, for the most part, that works. And it's worked with this guy right here. But again, I think you always have to take the moral high ground and leave someone, again, their ability to walk away with some level of dignity. But back to this guy. His girlfriend, excuse me, she came to pick up his things. And I think she took all of his stuff and threw it away. Because all of the things were gone from the place where I put them.
So now you would have to, man of reason, a Georgetown education, say, well, I doubt that Mr. Galt took my things. Why would he want my clothes and shoes? But the girl's boyfriend, his boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, took the thing, threw him away out of spite. Elliot just put her in the hospital. So it showed you one thing, that they're still communicating with each other. After he has put her in the hospital, they're still communicating. And that's one of the things why you see is very dangerous when you're dealing with domestic violence situations, because whoever would have thought that they would be right back together after he put her in the hospital, but yet they are. So this is one of those things. So she threw his things away, and now he's threatening me. He's blaming me for throwing his things away. After all I've helped him and things like that, here he is threatening me. So it just kind of, one of those things when you're dealing with Black people, like the illogical nature oftentimes. And so, it's just one of those things, I think a lot of Blacks are stammering. Someone says, are they back together? They are back together. The guy called me, and I forgot about this. He called me a couple of days ago when they supposedly they weren't together. And so, as I've told you, many of these people get food stamps. Even though they're working gig jobs, shit like that, they get food stamps. Or maybe they're not making enough and they qualify. So he calls me and he says, hey, I have some food stamps for sale. Do you want them? And I'm thinking, like, whose food stamps do you have? And it was her food stamp. Less than a week later, after he had put her in the hospital, they're right back together. So it's just very interesting. I deal with this all the time. And that's why when CT talked about the lady that was shot in Texas, or even when I talk about the woman that was beaten here, it's very difficult to extend sympathy to people that put themselves in these situations over and over again. Get cracked for me. Why don't you join the panel here? I'm going to put the link in the chat. I need to step away for 1 second. Be right back. Sorry about that. Get something to drink here. Let me look through the comments here. Unfortunately, a child may be created out of that dysfunction. Black people need to practice. I've said something along those lines. Black Rick said it is dangerous to confront with ninjas. You might say a word they don't. I think we've seen that on some of CT's panels. Someone referred to some woman as something, and she took what he said as the wrong word. Yeah, but you're definitely right. Small words, 1 or 2 syllables. But again, I think the biggest thing is you don't want to back someone into like an intellectual corner where they can't intellectually talk themselves out of it, which oftentimes may require an apology. Not available to chat live on West Coast time. Gotcha. Get cracked. What else was I going to talk about today? There were a couple of things I wanted to talk about here. Oh, my buddy that joined CT's chat the other night, and he talked about Section 8 landlord. He told me something interesting after the call. So he told me that he went for a Section 8 meeting with the landlords. So the housing authority now sets up Zoom calls for prospective tenants and landlords to kind of match each other. Interesting, they didn't do that back when I was a landlord, Section 8. So one of the things he told me was that they are kind of staging the tenants to put forth their best face in terms of meeting the landlords. And so one of the questions he said that all of the Section 8 tenants were interested in was, what about credit checks? And so here's the part that was interesting from my buddy's perspective. Many of the landlords looking to house Section 8 tenants at this point in time were not American blacks. When I used to do Section 8, it was all American blacks, black men by and large, and some women. But it was a mix of Pakistanis and Indians, or at least that's how he described them. And I've long thought that, you've heard me say here on this podcast, that it's going to be a hell of a lot different renting for blacks or inner city people, Section 8 people, renting from an immigrant group like Pakistanis. They're not going to be as tolerant and understanding of, the ways that these Section 8 people live, primarily the blacks. And so it's going to be an interesting intersection there between immigrant landlords and the blacks. What I think will eventually happen is that the immigrants will find a way to rent on Section 8 to their own people that come over here. I think that a lot of the migrants in the shelters, we've talked about the shelters, will eventually be given Section 8 vouchers. And I think that the new incoming Section 8 landlords, the ones that my friend spoke of, I think they will choose the migrant class over the American black existing Section 8 tenants. So I think that's kind of how that'll work out. And we've kind of seen that now, at least in DC, where they're Pakistani landlords and things like that. So that is interesting. That's a topic that I'll probably flesh out again a little bit later, because I think it's going to be a lot of opportunities for people who want to get into business. The migrants are going to be flush with money, government money, to pay for their housing. So if you're interested in taking advantage of that, I think it's going to be a rising tide there. Kimmy Case, good morning. If you would love to join, I would love to have you join the panel if you're interested. Today, I'm just doing a weekend review. I wanted to really talk about some of the black stuff, but I guess the Uber ride has kind of toned me down a bit coming home this morning. I said, I kind of, I guess I lost the edge, because I really, I probably end up doing more of a CT show this morning. If I had gotten up and just did this show as soon as I woke up this morning, it would have been probably a whole different show, but it's probably for the best. So anyway, a couple more things. If we have any questions or anyone wants to jump on the panel, feel free. But one of the things I did want to talk about, that I was going to talk on in the later show, is this. I want to know if anyone is familiar with this right here. Anyone in real estate may be interested. And this is one of the things I want to talk about this week. Again, I sold a house last year. I think it was last year. And we paid, my agent agreed to cut his commission on the sale. But of course, the buyer's agent, they're not going to cut theirs typically, because it doesn't come out of the buyer's pocket. So anyway, here's an article, what the realtor lawsuit settlement means for home buyers and sellers. So if anyone has bought a home or sold a home, you're probably familiar with your local MLS, and you're familiar with how brokers and the agents split the fees, the commissions. So there's been a $418 million settlement. And Mr. Wade, Kim Wade, put me on this. He's been promoting this on his radio show. So we talked about this a while, and he was telling me, you got to take a look to this. So homeowners could see a significant drop in the cost of selling their homes after a powerful real estate group, trade group, agreed last week to resolve antitrust litigation accusing brokerages of inflating sales commissions. Basically, we're getting rid of the middleman here. Why does anyone need a real estate agent to buy a house? I'm not quite sure why. And I think it is kind of all getting a little flatter here now that the new agents have to be shaking in their boots, because their careers may be upended here. What's in the settlement? The settlement comes after several years of litigation. As part of the settlement, the realtor group agreed to prohibit offers to compensate the buyer's agent on multiple listing services, a practice that critics say reduced price competition and led to inflated commissions and home prices. So I think this is going to be pretty big, and it's going to be a pretty big topic going forward as to how people use real estate agents and things like that. Let me put the link in the chat for Kimmy K. Kimmy K is from New York. I would love to hear her response about Jamal Bowman. He may be her representative. DG says, "Hey, DG, John Galt, salute." I'm in Philly right now. Weed everywhere. It's illegal, right? Probably legal in Philadelphia. Kimmy, if you want to join, feel free to jump up. Antitrust. I'm assuming you're referring to the real estate. Yeah, indeed, that was the case there. Kimmy, did you want the link to the real estate article? Let me send that one too, in case you guys want to read it for yourself. If you're interested in buying a home in the near future or selling a home, I would almost recommend for most people, unless your house is exquisite, you probably can sell it on your own. Again, I sold a house last year. I'm not unhappy with the agent's performance. He did some of the paperwork, but I could have paid someone else to do the paperwork. And again, I sold the house myself, more or less. I was there when the person came to buy the house. I talked the house up. I answered any questions that he had. And my agent, no agent could have done that unless he lived on my block, on the particular block. No one can buy homes anymore. I'm not sure if that's true. People are buying them all the time. I think you just have to take a more creative approach to buying homes now. We talked about many times, a lot of these people they're paying $2,000 for an apartment, 1 bedroom. You can't do that. And then with the plans of buying a home, I will agree with you that if that's your approach, you're never going to get that. It's going to be very difficult. Kimmy Casey, John, how was a 6% commission on real estate? 3% on each. Yes, that's true. Well, Ryan. Good morning, Kim. Oh, sorry. Good morning, Kim. The thing that Andrew, if you have a bias with him, that is with sales, which I don't think really people in the business because the money is not necessarily coming out of the good people up front for the sale. I have a question for you. You're an echo, Kim. You're on mute. No, you're not on mute. Is anyone here in echo? My mic?
I think you sound okay now.
Someone says sounds like I'm getting echo counseled.
You were before, but I think you're good
I
now.
was? Oh, wow. Okay. I'm not sure what changed here. I didn't do anything with the mic. But anyway, Kim, did you see the video of Jamal Bowman?
No.
You didn't see it?
No, I'm late.
Should we show that video again of Jamal Bowman? Let me see if I can. Hold on. Let me see if I can find. I'm surprised you didn't see this, Kim, and you're right there in New York.
I did not see this.
Oh, you're gonna love this, Kim. You're gonna love this. This is your representative here.
Oh Lord.
Let me see if I can find. Oh yeah, I found it, Kim. All right. Shit, let me get it right here, Kim, so I can get it right for you here. Let me make sure I got my screen right here, Kim, before I turn it up here. So this is Jamal Bowman. It looks like he's at a park or somewhere. I'm not quite sure where he is. And I'm really surprised you haven't seen this, Kim. But I want to play this, and then I want to get your reaction to this.
Okay.
You ready, Kim? All right.
Yeah.
We're gonna show them who the fuck we are. We're gonna show them who the fuck we are. Bowman, Bowman. Listen, stand silent while U.S. tax dollars kills babies.
Oh wow. Oh, wow.
Does he represent where you live in New York?
I'm not in the 16th district, but I mean, he's a New York representative nonetheless.
Yeah. What did you think about that when you saw that?
I thought, I mean, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but it was coonery. It's just, it was top tier coonery. But I've seen his posters around Brooklyn. I just didn't know that this happened.
Have you ever seen an ANC rally in Africa?
No.
Do you know what ANC rally is in Africa?
No.
I'm going to show you an ANC rally. And I want to see, maybe they share, I just want to hear your thoughts. But they look very similar to me. Let me see if I can show you an ANC rally.
This South African has been igniting quite the firestorm online. Once deemed a struggle chant, modern adaptations of it have kindled cries of white genocide. So why is this song so controversial?
Shoot the
Well,
board.
it's mostly to do with its lyrics.
The poor, the farmer.
That chant about killing the Boers, the descendants of Dutch settlers in South Africa. Dubuli Bunu, which translates to shoot the Boer, was born in the throes of apartheid-era South.
When I saw Jamal Bowman, that's the first thing I thought. Like, damn, he looked like Julius Malema out there, jumping up and down. I'm like, listen,
Honestly, I had not so good thoughts when I saw him. I was like, he looked like he could eat some good cat. But that's not the point. The point is, what is going on? But I feel like there's no end. Like with this whole liberal movement, there is no there's no boundaries.
My next thought about Bowman is, have you ever seen Bowman get that animated about the killing in Brooklyn and some of the areas that he represents? He's talking about stop the killing of the Palestinians. That's what he's talking about there.
Oh, okay.
I've never seen any of these niggas jump up and down talking about stopping the killing in their own neighborhood.
That's what I thought he was talking about. But no, of course not.
He's not talking about his own neighborhood. He's talking about thousands of miles away. Solving problems.
Well, if we could be honest, no black organization, leader, etc., talks about what goes on in black communities. BLM never did it. None of our politicians do it, especially the politicians of color. I think it works to their benefit to have N-words killing N-words. Just saying.
Someone just said, I want to hear your comments on this. This is a smarty arty nigga just posted this. So what are your comments on this?
The same. Bowman isn't a liberal. He's a progressive. The same. One and the same.
I think that's the blacks' way of, they're really using words, but they're not really saying anything. Nigga, what's the difference between a liberal and a progressive? They all believe in the same shit.
Exactly.
They all demand adherence to what they believe. You see the blacks, you say, well, I don't know what the blacks would say they are. They may say they're liberal. But they're going to vote for every damn thing progressive, so might as well just put the progressive label on them. They're not liberal, they're not Democrats. If you're going to vote for everything that the progressive do, then you are de facto progressive yourself.
But what's confusing is that they vote for all this liberal, progressive nonsense, then get mad that they have to live that life.
Do you think Bowman probably doesn't live that life, though? He probably lives quite a bit of ways away from it. What district is that he represents in New York?
He's pretty much like between the Bronx and upstate, like Westchester.
Someone did say Westchester. Yeah, someone did say Westchester. How the hell did he get to represent such an affluent area like this? It's kind of amazing they would vote for him.
I'm telling you, he ate someone's cat good. That's all I'm saying.
He's a cat man.
Probably wasn't Tisha James.
Did you hear about the Trump? Did you hear about the Trump rally in Philadelphia?
I heard about it. Yes.
And it was at someone said the Move headquarters where they burned them niggas up a while back.
Yes. Yes.
What do you think about that? You think Trump is going to make inroads with the blacks?
He already has.
You think they're going to vote for him though? Like black women like yourself. You think black women like yourself?
I mean, I have twice, and many other black women have, and will continue to. And he's earned more popularity amongst blacks since 2020.
You think that's real?
I think it's real.
When you go about your day in New York, do you see blacks that are supporting Trump?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Like openly supporting Trump?
Openly. And
I
like
haven't been to New York in a while. It's like, wow, that's interesting.
Very much openly. I mean, he had a rally in the Bronx that had incredible turnout. AOC had a rally in the Bronx, like 14 people came.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. That's true. No, that is true. But that's still, that's just a sliver of New York City, though. You have.
But you have to remember that New York, in general, is pretty conservative. It's just an over concentration in New York City that splits the state blue, but the majority of New York State is actually red.
Do you think that Trump has a shot to win New York? Just the city itself. Do you think he can win New York City?
I don't think he might win all of New York City. He'll get his usuals. He'll get Staten Island. He'll probably get most of Manhattan, some of Brooklyn and Queens.
You think he's going to get most of Manhattan?
Some, I think. Some
Upper West Side or some, okay.
Right, yeah.
Small sliver.
He's definitely going to get upstate. He's definitely going to get Long Island, but heavily New York City is what flips New York State blue.
I was hoping Stanley would join, but we have my favorite guest here, Master Kim. Kim, have you met Master Kim?
No. What?
Good morning.
Good morning. Master Kim, sometimes I just feel like I have to lead off with something from you, if you don't mind. But go ahead, Master Kim, introduce yourself, and then I'm going to pull up a clip for you. Go ahead. I want to play it for Kim.
Hey, good morning, Kim. Hey, just delighted to be on board and listen and educate myself on everything you folks have got to share. So, yeah, very interesting. Absolutely.
So, Master Kim, I wanted to share this clip with Kim. Kim lives in New York, and Kim, you remember the picture of that little boy that I took that was in the bodega right there, the Utica and well, no, not Utica, St. Mark's and Ralph. Remember that during
the one
COVID?
That was working? The one that
was that little boy, midnight, yeah. Right? And Master Kim and I talked about this. So I want you to listen to a clip from Master Kim, and then I want to hear your opinion. Now, he's talking about primarily Atlanta, but I guess it would apply anywhere. So I want to hear your thoughts. Because you're in New York. And let me play this. All right, here it comes now.
So the reason why African-American businesses do fail, because when the going gets tough, these people master English, and so many of them do have higher education. They can say, well, screw this. I'm not going to run no beauty supply stores if my customers are treating me like crap and stealing stuff. I'm going to go work for Pepsi. So they do have other options. And I'm going to say the reason why African-American businesses do fail, because when the going gets tough, these people master English, and so many of them do have higher education. They can say, well, screw this. I'm not going to run no beauty supply stores if my customers are treating me like crap and stealing stuff. I'm going to go work for Pepsi. So they do have other options. And I'm going to say the reason why African-American business.
What do you think about that, Kim?
I mean, I think it's accurate.
Because you're in New York, and we used to live not far from each other. Most of those businesses, the blacks just don't own them.
No.
They eat their breakfast, lunch, and dinner from the Chinese man. But they don't own the store. It became so acute to me when I noticed it in New York, year after year after year, every bodega owned by Arabs or Dominicans. And I just like, damn, why can't the blacks own any of these things?
Well, I think first, when we think about ownership, right, it requires a certain level of work ethic. And I think we just need to be honest. Like, There's a lot of people who are black who just don't want to work or have good work ethic. It takes a certain level of discipline that just doesn't exist. It's crazy the amount of rooms that I'm in, and I'm like one of 4 black people. And it's shameful because it's not like I'm working in like top tier corporate America. You know? This is not.
You're in education, right, Kim?
Right. This is not hard to achieve. Yeah. In an urban city at that.
Yeah, you're in New York City. You're in Brooklyn. Yeah, you're in Brooklyn. Hey, Stanley, you want to chime in here on anything you've seen so far?
Yeah, the comment about liberals and progressives being the same. I responded, if you're MAGA or far right, you would think that, but they're not.
Well, what is the difference to you, Stanley?
Well, progressives tend to be farther left, like the Squad. Jamal Bowman's in the the Congressional Progressive Caucus, along with AOC and those folks. So essentially, progressives are the left version of MAGA, basically.
And you think there's a difference between, say?
Well, I don't think I know. I'm not guessing.
What would you characterize yourself as, Stanley?
Center left, probably more liberal.
What distinguishes you from the progressives?
I'm not a person who likes extremes. I'm a moderation in all things guy, and I think progressives. To be honest, I think that there's some truth to the far left being authoritarian in nature. To get, say, communism implemented, or something very socialist implemented in America, you're going to have to do it by force. Americans are, they think things like communism or, extreme versions of socialism are anathema. So the only way to get a progressive government, say, or a socialist government, would be to take over the present government. And I don't see them as much different than, say, a Project 2025.
Now, I don't know much about 2025. I need to update myself on that. But Stanley, you the most authoritarian government we've all probably faced was COVID. We can speak a little bit freely here on COVID. And you succumbed to that. And I'm not picking on you, but you succumbed to that.
Well, no, I didn't succumb. I made a choice. So I'm not going to be one of the ones who cows when you talk about jabs and stuff like that. I made a decision, and I don't have to defend my personal decision. So you can think what you want to think, and I'm just going to laugh and go, well, whatever you think. I don't cower easily, and you know this, John.
I don't want you to cower. I just want to have a discussion with you.
But
there's no discussion. I made a decision, and that's that. Why would I discuss a personal medical decision?
That's good. You know what? I know where I want to go with this now.
I bet you did.
Kim and I were in New York. And we spent many COVID nights
together.
No. Yeah, well, together as friends. Yeah, at the bars, we spent many COVID nights drinking and smoking. Ain't that right, Kim?
Yes.
Many nights. And I can count on one finger, probably maybe two, if I include Kim.
Mm-hmm.
How many niggas were sitting around drinking and smoking with us, saying this is some bullshit? Open your fucking business, nigga. Fuck you scared of? All these other niggas.
So what's your point?
The people that vote, and maybe they're not progressive, maybe they just consider themselves liberals, but they vote just like the progressive. They vote and are okay with the authoritarianism, because them niggas were okay with closing their businesses down, going broke, poor, all for the liberal government goal.
Let me respond to that. Let me respond to that.
Sure.
Of course, there's overlap. Progressives and liberals tend to be a left of center. but there's overlap between normie, quote normie Republicans and MAGA. So I mean, there's going to be overlap in general degree agreement. Most people, right of center, are gonna. There's going to be intersections, and same thing with the left. So you're not telling me anything I
What
don't
part do
already
you?
John,
know.
What
John,
part do
That's
you intersect?
politics. That's
John,
politics
What part do you
101.
intersect? Go ahead, Kim.
John, this is why these conversations never get anywhere because you cannot talk to
It's
liberals.
somewhere. It's not
I'm
where you
sorry, you're
want it to
interrupting.
go. That's your
You're
problem.
interrupting. You're interrupting.
I'm interrupting. Of
Which is
course
what I
I am.
can expect you to
Hold on,
do.
Stanley. Hold
Of
on.
course
Which
I
is
am.
anticipated.
Hold on,
Of course,
Stanley. Let us
I
speak.
understand.
I let you speak more.
It's anticipated with someone of that mindset.
You
But
should
when
you
you,
should anticipate more interruptions.
So
but
When you're wrong, I will correct you.
yeah, that's the liberal mindset, right?
Absolutely.
Bullying,
I hate for black people to be
interrupting.
wrong. I just hate it when black people are wrong. I'm like John in that way.
Right. So, like I was saying, it's kind of almost pointless to have these conversations because look at what he's telling you. Well, the MAGAs and they have all this vocabulary, they have all this wordiness. They're so effing chatty, right? They make this word salad on top of word salad. It's just let's have a real conversation here. They're one and the same, right? They don't stray too far from one another. When you talked about force, of course, socialism is by force. I have to look men in the face and say that they're women. Are you kidding me? You're forcing me, right? So when they're saying that in order for this society to be implemented, it has to be by force. This is exactly what they're doing. This is what they live and breathe. They're not going to get it. They work with us. It's like being in a cult. They have a certain mindset that's just not in tune with reality.
Brave, hold on, Kim. Since Brave, my man Brave, he just joined.
Hey.
Brave, have you seen this clip of Master Kim? Have you seen this, Brave? I want to hear you comment on this, Brave.
Do fail because when the going gets tough, these people master English, and so many of them do have higher education. They can say, "Well, screw this." I'm not going to run no beauty supply stores if my customers are treating me like crap and stealing stuff. I'm going to go work for Pepsi. So they do have other options, and I'm going to the reason why.
Master Kim went on to say more than that, Brave. But what do you take of the blacks, the ones that are just idle, all this idle time, and their family? They have family. Why can't they do what the Koreans do and figure out how to open up one of these stores? They hang in front of them selling drugs all day.
John, I hate to break it to you, buddy, but there's a large percentage of blacks that I'd hate to venture it. I could, but there's a large percentage of blacks that probably just simply don't have the brain power to do it, John.
You don't think they can run a retail store?
I think that they could bottom if they actually grabbed onto every bit of intellect they have, but since their intellect is like average to sub-average, they just take the easy route and it's already in their culture to do nothing. Their culture is already destroyed, so they're taking their average intellect and they're just feeding into the already destroyed black culture, and there you have it. You have people that just are listless. The Koreans, I guarantee you, when you look at a family of Koreans, go ask them what their educational process is. I don't care if they're fresh off the boat. They're all probably the Korean little lady picked her a man that's got brains, and they're probably all a good couple of IQ points above average, for
What do you
sure.
say to that? What do you say to that, Master Kim?
I'm going to say that's partially true, but there's one thing that maybe I failed to mention is there is a dangling of the carrot with a lot of these ethnic communities that us Americans just don't do to one another because we're all individuals and we're all kind of cowboys as Americans. So meaning that a Korean will take another Korean that's working their store and kind of directly or indirectly dangle the carrot like, hey, and if you do right by me by 3 years, maybe across we can become partners at this other shop, or I know a good immigration lawyer. I'll pay the retainer to help bring your parent. They're always dangling some carrot, and they get abused because they get taken advantage of because the guy was lying or whatnot. Whereas Americans, we don't buy it. For one, no one dangles a carrot. If we go work for them, they pay us, and we want maximum value. But Americans, we don't dangle the carrot in front of someone else, so that creates a problem because the only way these businesses work, and just for the sake of this conversation with African Americans, is they would have to get exact carbon copies of themselves and family members to run the store so that they don't steal from themselves. But since they don't dangle the carrot, people are out to get maximum value. I mean, it happened to my family business. I mean, we hired white and black Americans, and in no way did we say, hey, we're going to open up a car wash across town or nothing like that. But and they found a way to kind of justify their thievery. So with all that being Be Brave is kind of correct. There is a little bit of manipulation done by us minorities unto each other, and occasionally it does come true where we do become partners with this fresh off the boat guy and whatnot. But a lot of manipulation going on from Mexican to the new Mexicans, from the Greeks to the Greeks. But yeah, so Brave is kind of right. But I just want to throw in that dangling of the carrot and manipulation within these communities too. By the way, and John, may I throw in one more comment as well?
Sure, go right ahead. Go right ahead, Kip.
Americans, mind you, I was born here, so when I say Americans, I'm also throwing myself in that pot, right? Americans own businesses kind of in reverse, and this is what I mean. Just like the Scarface movie, you got to get the money, then you get the money, you get the car and the woman. So with a lot of minorities and whatnot, even, obviously people from the islands, they come here, they all get crammed up in an apartment, living deep, but they own a bodega. And they just are balling it cash flow wise. They don't go get the condo or the house and then go get the business, leveraging the equity their asset. The minorities do it the other way around. They very risk adverse. They pick businesses that have high probabilities of success. They don't pick these image businesses like these nightclubs in these kind of high-end beauty salons that they have to hire all Americans. Marlboro, Newport, and Bud will sell themselves. So a lot of these minorities pick businesses with high probabilities of success. So whether you like us or not, I could be imperialist and spiel out silly stuff. And imperialist is dope, by the way. So I don't want him coming in and shouting me down. But yeah, you could be imperialist as my. But people don't care. They want Newport and Marlboro Light, and they could care what I think are imperialists. They're going to buy, period. So that's it. I'm so sorry, folks, for hijacking the mic. And what up, Stanley? Hey, or I meant to say, hey, good morning.
Hey, what's up? Hey, I have a comment about Brave. Be Brave.
No, I'll let you get this thing, but I wanted to follow with Master Kim. But Master Kim, how much more difficult is a retail store than the young boys outside selling weed in front of the store, crack or whatever the hell they're selling? Hell, you just got a bigger product list. All these black boys outside selling drugs in the street corner selling drugs. A corner store seems so simplistic to run. I've seen in New York, and Kim will say that the same, that the immigrants will live upstairs and they'll come downstairs or next door and work the building. These blacks live in these communities. They wouldn't even have to catch the bus to work. They're there anyway hanging out. Why don't they just, it can't be that hard.
John, that was actually going to be my point. You don't have to have above average intelligence to work in retail.
I don't think so.
Yeah, but you can't have too far below. And also then be told that everything's okay when you lay around.
That wasn't hold on. That wasn't my point. My point is that you don't have to have above average intelligence.
Right, yeah, that's true. That's true. Very true. Okay, I agree. But the point is the listlessness that is accepted is what's killing these young boys that already are struggling with intellect.
Master Kim, if a young boy wanted to ask you for advice, a young man, he wanted to get into the gas station business, and he didn't have much friends or family that could help him, but let's say he had the money. Is there any way he could make a go of it with just having the money and the willingness to do it?
Okay, that's an excellent question, and I'm going to give a two-part answer. First, I'm going to ask him where he's from. Okay, if he's Jamaican, for example, and as hardworking as Jamaican people, and this isn't to hype up Jamaicans, but I'm using them as an example.
No, you can
hardworking.
Hype us up.
Kim is Jamaican, by the way. Go ahead.
Hey, what up, Kim? So hardworking, yes. Then it would work because they would have the whole family working to build towards the big goal and stuff like that. But if they're American blacks, I would tell that guy, you know, you need to work for me and just watch everything I do and don't do me dirty, right? Versus the Jamaican they don't need to be taught anything, you know, meaning they've got the family network, they would cluster together, no different than the Koreans, no different than the Mexicans that come here. And as I say, Jamaicans, Kenyans is what, you know, just I'm speaking people
Right.
from other countries that
Right.
have been petrified at how the economy is. There's no welfare system here. So when they come here, they bust their butt. Now, as Americans, we see the face of business owners as being these Indians, Hindu Indians, or Arab Americans or Koreans, but they're just a piece of the gas stations, the liquor stores. There are, you know, many other cultures from overseas, first to second generation, that are just laying down the hammer. And in the gas station business in Atlanta, the only and I'm going to use the word black people I see that own stations successfully are the ones that come from Africa, because they're coming. I mean, generally speaking, and I hate to say this, but this does speak to the Braves standpoint. The people that ultimately migrate here from Kenya, they got some cheddar. You know, they do have high intellect. We're not getting the worst of, you know, and with the exception of what's coming across the border. But the legit Africans that come here, they're legit. They're high education, just like CT's family. You know, so they got loot, they got high education, and they're hungry. So they do everything in step with what the other minorities are doing. Now, the African Americans, I would just have to incorporate them into our clique and try to hope that the guy learns from me, because there's no assumption that he has a family life that would teach these type of things. So I'm, John, you'd asked the question, and I just kind of put it on blast for a while.
No, Mr. Kim, you know, I'll give you a lot of leeway to talk because you're a businessman, and I think that you're giving a lot of good advice to people who may be looking to open up a business. People who are curious as to why some of these businesses don't seem to be working for blacks.
On a white trash angle, John. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go
On a
ahead.
white
No, go ahead, Brad.
on a white trash angle. On when Master Kim speaks of cheddar, white trash. From a white trash angle, when I was young, I didn't care about education. I got straight Fs. I really didn't. I'm telling you, I just didn't worry. I wasn't worried about learning anything other than just having fun and playing around. Now, what that happens is when I think back, even I've got extra IQ points. I proved it on many tests. But the point is when I think back, the stupidity with which I lived my youth amazes me. So I had a good number of extra IQ points, and I'm just saying, you take average to below, a couple points below or average, and they're also don't care about education. They're in trouble, and that's why I'm saying that the ability to remain in the stupid zone is phenomenal with the human species. I did it very well myself, and you got the black culture that is now. The black culture literally promotes staying in the stupid zone. These young men don't have a chance that are listless out there. I'm not making excuses for them, but Jesus, I mean, when you expect them to do anything other than basic stuff, it's like they're in trouble, because I'm telling you, a lot of them are average to below average intellect, and they've been put themselves in the stupid zone. I know where the stupid zone's at. It's very dangerous. I was there.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Sure.
You do realize that like 80% of the black community does not live in the hood? I mean, your argument, at least as I perceive it, is that most black people are in the stupid zone, or most black people in America are lazy. Okay, well, that's how it comes off. That's how it comes off a lot of times.
No, it doesn't, Stanley.
Actually, you can't tell me how I perceive your argument. I'm trying to tell you how I perceive it. You can't tell me how I perceive.
Hold on, Stanley.
Yeah, but I can tell you that you're full of it because you don't. I didn't give you any.
Okay, I can tell you that most. I can tell you that most black people don't live in the hood.
Stanley, we're going to somewhat change the topic, or kind of the angle we're approaching this.
Yeah, really. Because I didn't mean that.
It would be better.
No. Hold on.
We were talking about listless young men, Stanley. I didn't give percentages
Okay,
or
and
nothing.
my perception is that sometimes you come across as if you said black people are in the stupid zone. Okay, you
I
weren't
did
very
not say that. I
specific.
did not say black
You
people are
did
in the
not
I'm
say
stupid.
that.
sorry,
I
but
said
you
when
did.
I said it.
I'm sorry, but you did, and
I
you
did not
have
say
in the
blacks are in the
past.
stupid zone. I said these kids, these young blacks, have put themselves
Blacks
in
are
the
low
stupid zone.
IQ, et
No,
cetera, et
I didn't
cetera.
say
You
that in
have
general.
set.
You're a
All right, all right,
goddamn
all
You
right, all
may
liar.
right.
I
not.
didn't
Stanley,
say
You
that.
Stanley,
may not
Stanley,
All right,
remember
Stanley,
what
I
you
did
say,
not
Stanley,
say.
and that's
No, no,
another
no. Shut up.
problem.
we're
Stanley.
not
Oh,
You
gonna,
don't
stop it.
listen to
we're not gonna,
yourself.
Stop it.
Stanley,
Stop it. I
hold on.
would
We're
never
not,
make.
we're
I've
Hold
not
on,
gonna
never.
get,
John. Hold on. I
hold on,
would
Bray.
never say black. Oh,
Hold on, Bray. Let's don't get hung up on that point because it's a matter of scale. All of them aren't low IQ. I know what you're saying. Stanley does too, but he's trying to like splice hairs. So, Bray, what I would, I'm unmuting both of you guys.
You're
What I
damn
would,
right I'm splitting hairs.
right, right. So,
Hair splitting
hold
splitting
on.
hairs is how
Stanley,
things
Stanley,
get done in reality.
right, Stanley. What I want you guys, you older guys, Master Kim and Brave, to comment on is this is a text chain from a Georgetown graduate, and I've told the backstory of why I'm showing this. This guy just savagely beat up his girlfriend, broke her jaw, put her in the hospital, and this is the type of conversation. And I'll pull up his resume if you haven't seen it shortly.
yeah, I've
But
seen it.
I
I
want
got
to
it.
touch back on Master Kim. Master Kim, you presented a somewhat bleak future for a black man in that he can't own the store. The best he probably can do, based upon what you're saying, is work for him, for you. And I can't imagine many Koreans taking a young black male under his wing. You're probably a unicorn in that regard.
Well, John, may I comment on that real quick?
Sure.
And again, I'm so sorry. I've got a two-part comment.
Go ahead.
One
Sure.
is just like Kim had mentioned, the work ethic, to learn the work ethic and also learn about the cash flow. Cash flow is like the blood, and if it's missing, then
Mm-hmm.
your business is going to die. One thing I did want to mention that touches with John, with Be Brave as well as Stanley, in my opinion. Now, this is not on any statistical data. So let's talk about downtrodden white trash versus blacks, right? I think that there's a valley going from downtrodden blacks to the professional class blacks. Like, for example, Stanley, chemist background and everything. He doesn't know how to. Now, please, I'm just saying a generality, right? There aren't a lot of Stanleys out there hanging up drywall and framing houses, right? So I think you go from, downtrodden black to the professional class. There's no middle part. When the white guy bonds out of jail, he's got his uncle that has got a contract, just much more industrious, whether it be with the railroad, picking up all the railroad ties and doing whatever with it. So there's this middle, when the knucklehead white guy wakes up one day, hits the light switch and says, I'm done with this shit, he has a starting point that will bring him out of poverty, because with the white community, there's that middle ground that he's not, the professional class is going to shun him anyways, but there's this middle ground that the guy can wake up, whether it be agriculture, something for him to get involved in a trade or something like that. Conversely, with the African American class, I believe, and I'm saying just very macro stuff, you got the professional class. What's an architect? Hell, Josie boy that just bonded out. How can that professional elitist African American? Because like John, just like Stanley mentioned, 80% are middle class or above. Yeah, they're speaking a different language than someone that's bonded out of the county. So I guess what I'm trying to say is you've got these thugs that are just sterling around with no help, versus maybe the white thugs. There is help because there's white man industriousness, and when that thuggy white kid is ready, there's a place for him to move him up the ladder. And again, I'm saying a very macro statement.
Yeah.
I think it's very successful elitist African Americans that are in the professional class, and there's no valley. John,
Okay.
John's odd because John could actually use some of this labor, but he's gonna have to teach them to be skilled. So I'm sorry.
Master Kim, a lot of what you say right there, a good portion of it was true. You're taking away credit from the white trashers, though. When we decide that it's enough, um, we were probably where the family thing comes in, or the white culture thing comes in, is the natural work ethic that we're around. We don't have to have connections. When we say enough's enough, we got that. We just kick it in and do it. All right, we don't need an uncle. We don't need anything, even though of course it happens. But I'm saying a lot of times it doesn't. When a white person wakes up, he says enough is enough, and he kicks it in gear. Now, so we're not going to give blacks that just wake up and don't want to kick it in gear any excuses here. They've got it. They've got the same society to draw from. Not quite, because I know white privilege when I see it and I've lived it. But they've got a society now to draw from. If they wake up, a black thug wakes up and says, I'm going to do things right, he's got a lot of people that will back him instantly. They don't need to be relatives. Hold on. They don't need to be relatives. And so, therefore, I've seen it. I've seen young black men go into any place they want. And when they put their foot forward, they are readily invited in to businesses and manufacturing and factories and everything. So it's not anything holding them back other than themselves. They don't need uncles, just like the white trash doesn't need uncles. What they need to do is a matter of work ethic on the individual's part here that's hurting the blacks more than the lack of uncles that can take them by the hand.
Brave, I've long said after 20 something years of dealing with blacks.
It's hurting. It's hurting. Did you say it's hurting the blacks? Which blacks is it hurting?
I think it's hurting all of us, Stanley, to be quite
See
honest.
I don't agree that it hurts all blacks.
Well, let me see if I can give you some clarity.
It might hurt. It might hurt. It might hurt the perception of blacks. But if a thug gets out of jail, how does that affect me? Especially if he's not in my family or I don't even know him. How is that exactly affecting this black man?
Let's see if we can. Let's see if we can.
Go ahead. I'm open. I'm all ears.
George Floyd was a good example. Let me share a Georgetown graduate's.
Okay, I don't care about the Georgetown graduate. How is that Georgetown graduate hurting me? He hurt you.
All right. Let me see if I can weave the story for you. Okay, just give me a second.
Please do.
Okay. Where is it? Okay. Here's a Georgetown graduate who just basically obliterated his girlfriend. And so when I asked him, did you send that girl to the hospital? He says, no, she went on her own. So again, the level of stupidity or unwillingness to take responsibility. She didn't go to the hospital on her own, nigga. You sent her. But nevertheless, let's look at a text message response. Are you really this dumb, nigga? I am going to be better. See, you miss you a dumb nigga. Trust me. I have learned from this being the ass whoop that he put on that girl. I said, well, it really shows there's something violent and low IQ in your DNA to get these things so horribly wrong.
My question was, how does that hurt me?
I'm getting there, Sam. I am mad. The biggest mistake a black man can make, and it haunts me in ways you don't even know. But please don't talk about blah, blah, blah. And I said, what have you learned, nigga? You threatening me? Yeah. So I say that the way that it hurts everybody, really. For one, we educated this nigga with a bunch of mush. I've shown you his degree. Now we can't get anything productive out of him because he thinks he's smarty arty nigga. When in reality, he should be out here paving roads or something. But he unwilling to do that now because he got a head full of mush. So now what as Master Kim said, he can't own a business. The best he could do is work for Master Kim. So he has nothing left.
Okay, but that's...
Hold on. So he has nothing left but to start whipping some ass in somebody else's house, somebody else's family member, daughter, girlfriend, his girlfriend is somebody else's family member. So how does that affect you downstream from there? What if that girl's father or brother gave a damn about her? Maybe you come back, shoot the neighborhood, or shoot up somewhere looking for that nigga where you are. It happens. You can't say it doesn't happen.
Okay, but
you can't say it. You can't say it doesn't lower property values. Maybe you're not around those property values, but people see you.
Exactly.
But people
exactly. I'm not around those property values.
And it also hurts the entry level for your son. You have a son, and maybe you'll have a wife one day, and they want to go buy a property, and there are going to be plenty of areas where they're going to turn up their nose because they don't want to be living around people like that. So now it makes large parts of the cities where your son might want to live, and now you can't live, or he feels like he can't live there in peace anymore because the blacks, one or two blacks, are raising so much hell. So it does affect us all. I can show you text messages where I haven't whooped anybody's ass, and I've
I
lost
just
I've lost money from people canceling reservations.
that is so much fuzzy logic. I don't even know how to
Okay,
approach it.
let me see if I can show you.
He just
Let me
and
see if I can show you a message.
the problem. Okay, go ahead.
I can show you message after message. I could bring people on this panel to the end of time talking about how they've lost money. We had Sir. Remember that night Sir was on CT's channel, and he expressed that he feels like his own behavior shaved $200,000 off of his property values. Well, he didn't just shave it off his property values; he shaved it off of everybody's property values. So you say, well, how does that hurt you? Hell, imagine if Sir lived in your neighborhood. And this
Okay,
nigga
well,
want to
you're basically
$200,000 off his property.
arguing the butterfly effect. Okay, I'm sorry. It's too fuzzy a logic for me to actually take that seriously.
Yeah, never mind reality, Stanley. To hell with that
Uh,
stuff.
we all know that the butterfly effect is real, but if I spent every minute of every day worrying about the butterfly effect, I would never get anything done. Okay, the bottom line is you can make a huge macro big point. It all comes down to that dude at Georgetown is hurting himself and his girlfriend way more than he's hurting me or my son, and I'm several states
But
away.
it's not that macro.
You arguing the butterfly effect, sure you can do that, but you're not going to convince me that dude is hurting black people.
You're not paying
He might be hurting the perception of black people, but that's not a black person problem. That's a perception
we have the
problem.
majority of blacks who are the leaders of every negative statistic out there, right? The most uneducated, the most underemployed, the most criminally involved, right? And you're trying to like do what John does and have rentals. But people are coming in, and I've seen John go through this, where well, there was a carjacking or a mugging or someone stole my this. Can I get a refund? That's not a macro issue.
Okay, but it is a John issue. It's not. You're right. It's not a macro issue. It is a John issue, and it doesn't hurt black people. It hurts John, who, by the way, chose to get into this business.
Right, but John,
so again, it's much too fuzzy a point for me to. I simply don't take the point seriously, and you're not making a good enough argument for me to change my mind.
We're not trying to change your mind. We're just trying to speak on the facts.
Yeah, look at the.
I don't think you're speaking facts. I think you're talking counterfactuals, if anything. What ifs?
No.
Look at the
Yeah, I'm afraid you are, man.
Okay, look at the Representative Bowman. Why does he have the nerve to act like that up on stage?
You know what? Representative
hold on.
really needs to go. I'm not a fan of his. He poured a fire alarm.
Hold on.
I'm not a fan.
We gotta have a little order. We gotta have a little order here.
God damn, man. Okay, hold on. Look at Bowman, why he acts like that. You know why he can act like that? Because a whole bunch of them people are affected by that Georgetown graduate behavior.
He's a bullshit.
You just can't talk with this guy, man.
Hold
Stanley,
on.
I'm gonna make
you need to make sense when you.
No, I'm making sense. I'm telling you I'm saying that when John said he didn't say all blacks, what he's talking about is all of society pays because of these stupid bastards. All of society, top to bottom. And if you can't understand that all of society
you're wrong. Too fuzzy a point.
You're suffering from a mental illness.
Butterfly effect is what he's arguing.
No, go get therapy, man.
You know, butterfly effect.
Go get therapy. You need some, Stanley.
Stanley,
You're being a contrarian with nonsense.
I'm not being a contrarian. I agree that the butterfly effect exists. I don't agree with the degree that something like this hurts the whole black community.
Hold on. Let me answer this question. Yeah, I do have a cash app, but that's not what this is for. So I appreciate the question, but I'm not looking for donations. Thank you very much, though. Go ahead.
Now look at Bowman up there. Kim spoke of a bottom of the scale on all matters. What's the worst, stupidest looking representative you've ever seen to date? Bowman, blackface.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, actually.
Oh yeah, no. She at least didn't want jumping up and down, and she at least asked the question and got interrupted, and at least questioned the woman that was looking like
Hold on. Hey, be brave. Be brave. You know, Kim reminded us that Bowman is the one that pulled the fire alarm in the Capitol.
Yeah, his whole thing is crazy.
Right.
His whole thing is to be crazy. That's his function.
And you know what? He
And guess
used to
what
be
he
a
did?
high school principal. That's even worse.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I don't know if it's worse. I think it's just more or less
Well, he was
represented.
training kids to be like that.
Well,
Right. That's
well,
a fair point.
I'm not a Bowman fan.
well, I think it's somewhat different. The schools have been captured. Kim works in the school system. She'll tell you it's all about the money.
Oh, my mother and sister are retired public school teachers,
Right,
so I know something about it.
And the checks that they're getting from their retired public school system, that's money that probably could be better served to educate these niggas.
It's
if
money and
hold on,
liberal indoctrination.
If people really believe
liberal indoctrination,
if people really believe that we can educate these blacks, some of the principals and like that wouldn't be demanding such high salaries and pensions and vacation days. They would be willing to go all in and put some skin in the game if they really thought they could educate them. But they know. That's why they're willing to, that's why the teachers, the principals, the students, the janitors, developers, the builder, building, everybody's willing to extort and scalp the heads of the public school system because there's no output of note coming out of it. So you might as well get
okay, well, obviously I disagree with most of that, but the part that I do agree with, I'm actually a little bit more to the right of you when it comes to education. I'm a big believer in education begins at home. So if you are actually depending on the school to instill like a good work ethic or a good study habits, that should all be done at home. By the time that kid gets into the classroom, he should already know how to study. He should already know how to listen. So education for me begins at home. If you don't have a good root, you're not going to grow a good tree.
Okay, yeah, nice angelic thought, but the fact is
you know what? I lived it. I have literally lived that life, so I know what I'm talking about.
I understand. I've seen it all my life too. People home sending out fine students to the schools, but there's a lot of students, whether they're white or black, that have nobody at home straightening them out. That's where the school needs to become more capable. They're not dealing with students that are half off their rocker, and they know they're not. In fact, they are feeding the nonsense, and that's why the administrators are getting paid hush money, shut up about what they see on these inner city schools. If I was a black man, my first wish would be, please go in and record inner city black schools. Please, across the nation, don't let up. This is being done at a national level, sent down to destroy the black inner city schools, and it's working. They're letting they're letting young kids that are already destroyed in the home go to school, and the school is further feeding their confusion rather than straightening it out, calling themselves a school.
So you think inner city schools are the only schools that are failing?
Oh, come on,
to the extent, to the extent that they're failing, yeah.
Okay, then you would be wrong.
All right, hey, be brave. Let's get back to Master Kim for a minute. So, Master Kim, you said that a young black American man, pretty much doesn't have a chance of owning a gas station. Is that fair? Or bodega or anything like that? Is that fair?
Oh, no, and I'm sorry, John. I was just illustrating the work ethic, that they're going to have a certain work ethic, just like Kim had mentioned. And one way to get it is to kind of, shadow these guys that currently own stores and understand that the way they live and the self. So here's an example. I was unaware of it until I had a Hindu gentleman of Patel as a partner, that when we drive by Krispy Kreme, these guys are so self-controlled. They're not like, hey, pull in, let's grab something. Versus with those Americans, we'll pull in the Krispy Kreme just because we had a hankering for a Boston cream pie. and we're not even hungry, you know. But these Hindus are just much more controlled, and I'm using food as just an example. That these guys, their brains are different, and it's not in a bad way, but it takes being exposed to them to see it. And I guess what I was trying to say is that not that they can't own gas stations, but they, they would be highly unsuccessful because they would have to rely on employees, uh, and they would just be robbed blind. That's why the first order of business is, you know, when a corporate-owned Circle K gets dealerized or sold to a New American, is what they're called, Indians or Koreans, they fire all the staff, which is a big mistake, right? Because the business gets hurt, but they want to reduce shrink. They want to reduce theft immediately, and that's one way to do it. So I would say that African Americans can do it, but if, for God's sakes, if they were Jamaican or Kenyan or something else, it would help. And the reason why is there is a respect for a kind of like a family goal, and the family goal is to make this store successful, meaning I need my boss to be balling it, because once he's balling it, he's going to make me bankable so he and I can be partners in the next store. So I think that that's where the breakdown is, just in American culture.
Have you ever
I
bought a gas? Have
you
you ever bought a gas?
missed a part. You missed a part,
Yes.
Mr. Kim. The part
Yes.
about being first generation or second generation immigrants. All that goes away by the third generation.
Yes, that is very well said. That is that is true. What Stanley just mentioned, that, and they're very
Yes.
much American. But when the
Yep.
in-laws or the parents, you know, sometimes they got all living in one house, they kind of hit the reset button. But you're right; they would have to be first or second generation for those value systems to still be in place. But
Thank you.
yes.
And you can say the same thing about Caucasian young men. They're going to tend not to be able to hire all of their family in on the project, so they're turning down those businesses for the same reason. If your business model relies on family members, that's just the bottom line of it. And Master Kim made it very clear that it does. It's just the way it is. So if you
Right.
don't have family members doing it, don't try it unless you got your ducks in a row real well, because it ain't going to be easy. Whereas if you've got all your family members in on it, it's pretty simple. You know, it's pretty obvious. Everybody's after the same thing. We all, you know, and so I mean, Caucasians aren't going in on these businesses for the same reason, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think Master Kim is really pointing out that Americans really can't do it.
Right,
I think
Americans, period.
for the whites, for the most part, they're not consuming products from these businesses in the same manner that the blacks are. The blacks are going into a lot of these stores. They're buying one Pamper, a blunt, a Swisher, over and over all day, every day.
Well, no
And
matter where whites are at, though, John, you got the Asian folks running the gas stations.
yeah, I think it's true. I
You
just
know,
don't think
so
that it is. And Master Kim spoke about this with the Patels.
Asians are
I
gonna
don't think that there's the
help.
predatory nature of the businesses being run, say, in a poor white neighborhood as it is in the poor black neighborhoods. Master Kim spoke about them running the casinos and the lottery tickets and the what do you call them, the glass dicks, Master Kim.
Oh yeah, all the drug paraphernalia that they would have in the hood stores, that you can't do the. Oh, and they live in the suburbs. They don't live in these communities, and you know they're doing trashy activities in the hood communities, but yet in their community they would not allow pornography or those glass sticks or drug paraphernalia to be displayed or whatnot. And that's just one of the hardships of any hood store, right? They just get taken advantage of, whether it be higher prices. One thing I did want to mention, John, on your other stream, and I forgot to mention it,
Sure, go
is
right
you're
ahead.
talking about EBT consumers just being taken advantage of. Yes, there are ones that are trying to hustle the system and sell their EBT, but then there's others that are just being overcharged because there's a disconnect. They could care less that they're paying $3 for a package of Twinkies. You know, Twinkies, like the yellow dolly,
Yeah.
$3, $2.79 or whatever it is. But here's one thing that's done, not by all, but a hood store. There'll be a lighter, and you guys already know where I'm going. There'll be a lighter, like a cigarette lighter, just sitting off in the middle somewhere, and the store owner will habitually charge every customer that $1.19 or $1.79 for that big lighter, and he doesn't give it to them. right? But if the customer actually looks at the receipt, they say, hey, they were overcharged $179. And can you imagine if he's doing it to every single customer? That's
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Say that one more time. Repeat.
Okay, so when you're at the register, trying to buy
Mhm.
something, they'll put like a Bic lighter or something that's around the cash register, like maybe some Blackwood cigarettes or cigars, or they'll put a
Yeah.
package near the register so that it looks like it's part of your merchandise, and he rings it up, and instead of being charged $10, you're charged $13. And if you're using EBT, he might charge you twice because very few people
Oh my
will
goodness.
look at their receipt to see that they were overcharged $3. So when you come back and complain, they're like, "Oh, that's not your Bic lighter. Oh, my bad." So they'll purposely. Now, why do they do that? Okay, and a lot of it is because they are trying to hedge themselves against the rampant theft that is going on, which is true. They can't do any. If someone wants to steal beef jerky, Slim Jims, and just take them, not even conceal them and walk out, the police aren't going to come. So they're almost, which is illegal and morally wrong. So I'm not trying to say that that's okay.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But when they're doing all this little scam and stuff, they're trying to hedge against the ongoing theft that is taking place.
Master Kim, can I add this? Let's say I'm white trash and a bunch of white trashes are ripping that damn bastard off. You think I'm going to call him immoral for ripping us off back?
Hey, hold on, Brave. Master Kim spoke on something about white people and stealing. Do you remember what you told me?
No. I'm just saying if it's proven that white people are causing you headaches with a lot of shoplifting, I'm saying I don't blame that damn Patel for ripping white people back off if they're dumb enough to fall for it. Especially if they're the problem. If they're the crux of shoplifting, get them white bastards back. Put a cigarette lighter on that receipt that he didn't catch.
Hey,
I don't think that's immoral. I think if there's a culture that's destroying something, that person's reacting to a culture.
Master Kim, do you remember telling me the story about the difference between white thieves and black thieves?
I'm trying to remember.
You talk about how like the white thief just won't come back to your store.
Oh, okay, yes. Okay, yes. So and I used Savage Red, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm not trying to say he's a thief by any means. I try to use a cultural difference. Guys like Savage Red, if they're mistreated or misunderstanding or whatever, when they say that they're done with your store, it's dangerous because you'll never see their face again, and they'll look you straight in your face and say, "You'll never see me again." You're going to lose them. You're going to lose their next door neighbor, their wife, everything. So you're going to lose maybe 10 people just because Savage Red said F you. Conversely, I feel an African American will be belligerent, say some shit, racial shit, whatever, but maybe it's a sign of expressionism. He'll say, fuck you, whatever, blah, 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 but he'll be back next Friday. So
I think there's a lot of white trash. I understand what you're saying, Kim, but I think there's a lot of white trash that they're not going to hold bad business practices against somebody to the extent of not going there, especially if it's within walking distance of somebody that does not have a car.
Yeah, no.
Let me.
These are macro generalizations.
Yeah.
Please forgive me, folks.
Mr. Kim,
I'm just saying, to be specific, I'm saying if whites were destroying your store, I don't care who the racial group is. If there's a racial group destroying your store, you're not immoral for stealing back from that culture that's doing that, because it is a cultural thing.
Yeah, so every individual should be held accountable for the culture, right?
If you walk in and every damn other person stealing something, you're damn right, Stanley.
It could be why America's
I'll put a lighter on that receipt in a heartbeat if every damn other person comes in and knocks my door over for goods.
If you don't think that's immoral, that could be America's biggest problem.
Yeah, I know. No,
But hey, Mr. Kim, quick question for Mr. Kim. You made the observation that blacks may wind up going back, even if they get into histrionics and all that. Could it be the neighborhood? Because there's a lot of talk about food deserts and all kinds of deserts. It could just be that there's nowhere to go but back to the store. What do you think of that?
Yes, I think you're absolutely right. But what I was illustrating, Stanley, is also a different viewpoint, right? So, for example, and
Right.
I told John this, right? There would be a gentleman, African American gentleman. There was a stamping plant near our store, and when lunchtime, he would come up to the store and he would say, "A ching chong," or a kung fu, give me a bottle of that bumpy face. And he would shout it at me. He wasn't angry at me. He just liked being belligerent towards me. That was almost a joke, right? I didn't take it personal, right? I knew that that's the way of him saying, "Hey, what's up? I got you if anything bad happens," right? Conversely, if a white guy does that, I think he means it solid, right? So the point being is that I think African Americans are just more apt to be act a fool and belligerent with the language, but maybe it's all in good fun. So the point being, even if someone says "fuck you" and this and that and all this belligerent stuff, I don't think they really mean it. So when they do come back on Friday, they could because he's probably telling his good friends the same shit. And again, I'm not trying to. What is it when you defend people? What's the term called? I'm not caping or I'm not.
Enabling or whatever. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I'm not trying to defend, but I don't take it as serious being cussed out by someone that's black. I mean, I guess I don't know
I
if that
guarantee
makes
you,
any
if
sense.
if he's coming from a factory and he's a working black man, he ain't meaning any harm.
Yeah,
You got
exactly. I'm
that?
not.
He not even in the least. Working black men are have some of the most pleasant personalities when it comes to things like that. That
Some
there
of them. Some
is.
of them. Hey,
Well,
we're
I'm
gonna
afraid.
let's say
I'm
most.
afraid to say what I'm going to say.
hold on. We're gonna end the show because I want you guys to the few guys that stay here to go over the CTs. So I want to let Kimmy and Stanley say their last words, and then Master Kim, I want you to tell the story about the black guy and your mother, the guy that attacked your mother. Then I want to hear B. Brady's feedback from that. So go ahead, Kim, and then go ahead, Stanley.
Wait, the black guy that did what?
Just give it. Well, Kim is going to tell the story if he wants, or if he's Master Kim. But go ahead and give your last words. I'm about to end the show here.
Okay.
Go ahead, Kim. You have any last words?
No, not really. I think we covered everything. Especially be brave, like spot on. And Master
Yeah,
Kim,
thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, be brave. I'm Kim. You should go over to CT's channel if you're interested. I think he's doing a Star Wars talk, but it'll probably get lively at some
Star
point.
Trek.
Star Trek. Sorry. And Stanley, any last words here?
Yeah, it was great talking to Kimmy. Hopefully we talk again.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Stanley. What about me?
Oh, well, you know we're going to talk. Now, be brave. I always appreciate talking to you.
I do.
Nice
I
to meet
do
you,
to you
Stanley.
too. You also.
Stanley and Kim, before you go, you have any thoughts on Bitcoin? I want to do a talk about Bitcoin, but I'm not very knowledgeable about it.
I'm not a fan.
You're not a fan? Okay.
You know what? I don't. I tend to like to invest in things I understand, and I don't understand Bitcoin well enough to even talk about it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I don't understand it, or I don't get it, I should say. So
And I know there's a lot of like fraud. Like a lot of fraud is done with Bitcoin. It's just uncomfortable for me.
I want to get. I think the guy Get Crack for me, or someone that deals with Bitcoin. I see it in his name. I want to get him up at some point. But all right, I'm going to let Master Kim end it. Master Kim and Be Brave. Master Kim, can you tell the story of your what happened to your mother when she was working in the store?
Yeah. So, hey guys, just real quick. So we had an armed robbery at one of our stores, and the reason I tell the story is because the lack of, I mean, it just wasn't very smart what these guys did. Right? They did an armed robbery on Friday night, and Friday night in the store business is showtime because that's check cashing. That's when we're the busiest, right? So we keep a lot of physical cash in a cigar box next to the register to cash checks. I guess when you could cash checks nowadays, people are getting their debit cards loaded. So the robbers come in, all African American. They had ski masks on and pantyhose over their face, but you could just tell that they're African American by their hands and I guess what was exposed on their face. So they locked the store and sort of busy Friday night. And there are people outside the store looking in at the glass, and they shot their weapons in the store. They wanted my mother to open. We were being robbed, and my mother and stepfather, both Koreans, were behind the register, and the guy wanted money out of the safe, and my mom said no problem. And they're beating my mom with a pistol, maybe just obviously to intimidate her. But the way these safes are, you have to turn a key, and it's a 10-minute timer. And so my mother turns the key, and the timer starts, and there's a red light on the safe. And the guy's like, open up the safe. My mother's like, I did it. Can't you see the timer, the red light? The guy couldn't see it, so he lifts up the ski mask so he could see the red light that my mother was talking about. All suddenly he looks up and sees the camera. And now it becomes like Menace to Society, where's the videotape? Literally the same. So they're beating up my mother. They're shooting their weapons in the store, thinking my mother had more money. And she did. The money that was in the cigar box, and we had a pistol in another cigar box. They dumped all that stuff in the floor, not even realizing what they're knocking over. So then the guy's like feverishly saying, where's the videotape? Where's the videotape? Well, my mother has a VHS behind the counter that she watches Korean movies, but it wasn't the security videotape. That's in the back office. So the guy hits the eject button, takes the Korean movie, by the way, which are TV shows from Korea, and says, I got everything. So they grabbed some money, but they were grabbing bottles of Martell and Hennessy and dropping it. It looked like the Keystone Cops. So finally, they got everything they want. They discharged their weapon. One bullet went through 5 pieces of equipment, and they end up leaving. All right. I was notified because my mother called me because I had the key to the VHS, that to open it, a security. Anyway, so I come up there. The reason I say all of this is that it appeared to be a very violent crime, but we immediately just wiped it out, that it just didn't happen. It became an insurance thing. When is the soonest that we can open up? Because the police are doing their investigation. My mother had to go to the hospital from being beat up or whatnot. But the point I guess I was telling John is we immediately had to put on a game face and just wipe out the fact that this took place, because we also statistically looked at, how many days a year, this is the first violent robbery we've ever had, that it was the odds, it was odd, and these guys were from Flint, Michigan, and of course they never caught the people, yada, 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 but we never even talked about it again. It became more of just an accounting insurance thing more than anything, and whatnot. When the reporters came and news and all that, I lied. I said that my mother fired her weapon back, which is not true. They knew that gunshots had taken place in front of the store, but it was them. It was not my mother. So on the front page of Oakland Press, so if you type in Oakland Press in Michigan, 1993, you'll see that article will, in like microfiche, the article will come up, shocking gun exchange in liquor store or whatever. So it was untrue. I did that just to, kind of say, hey, create the false illusion we're not the ones to be messed with, when in fact we were, obviously. So the point I'm trying to mention, this really happened, and there is no really good story to come out of it, as much as just like the Patels and everyone else, we just had to ice up our brain and just keep it moving, I guess. Gave it zero thoughts that my mother was beasting on, just kept it moving.
Got a question for you.
Go ahead.
You said that your mother and stepfather were first generation immigrants, or I'm sorry, or zero generation. They're from Korea. What year did they come over? Just out of curiosity.
So yeah, in '67, in Detroit, right when the riots popped off. So around '67.
Okay.
So, but with all that being said, this by far is 1,000 times better than being in some rice paddy in the hills of Seoul, Korea. So very happy to be here. Never look back. This is a great country. All the goofy stuff I've mentioned, I wouldn't trade it in. This is just an excellent experience, and this is a great place to be. The one thing I did want to say is as the Patels and the Koreans chain themselves to these stores, I wouldn't trade it for the world, missing the Tigers game World Series or the UGA championship, what us Americans enjoy, right? So there is that balance that these Asians and Hindus, they're just whack. They want to just die behind the register. That's on them. I grew up as an American, and see that there is a balance. There's a lot of reasons why you don't want to own a small retail store, because you want to live life. You do want to take your daughter to the ballet classes and to the gymnastic camps that are out of state. And if you own a store, you don't get to live life. So when people chain themselves to these stores, they're petrified by the way it is in Jamaica or in Korea or in certain parts of Turkey. So me, I was born here. I don't need to be chained up behind a store. I'm going to live life as American.
Great life words. Go ahead.
I think one of the things, and this is slightly off topic, but not really. I think one of the problems that Americans have, and there's really no way to solve it, it's just an observation, but I think one of the best things I ever did when I was in the Navy is go see other places. And, it actually made me appreciate America when, at that age, especially in college, I might have been a little bit more blasé about, America in general. I tend to be left of center, but I also know that America has it good compared to places like Egypt, or even places like Saudi Arabia. So, America has a lot of problems, but we still have it better than so many other places.
Yeah, Brave, go ahead and we'll finish it up here. Everyone should step over CT when we're done here.
Yeah, that's what I've always said. I disagree a little bit with Master Kim on he's saying that he wants that people shouldn't chain themselves to the store. I understand that he's right to a degree, but the point is all the other stuff really isn't important, and that's what I try to tell people. We got it so made here. If you're busy and you got 2 jobs and you can't go to your daughter's swim meet, don't feel guilty about that. You're making money. You got to make the money, unless you're rolling in dough. That's why I tell a lot of people that are hardworking, quit letting your kids run you crazy with their extracurricular activities. So that's kind of where I kind of disagree with his statement on that being such importance. We're losing our ability to put things first and take care of business when we're too busy about playing. But it's just, again, that's why white trash. I'm telling you, folks, white trash understand where they're at. They appreciate this country, and that is why I think they keep this. If you can have sophistication among the white trash, which you can, civility in the streets, it's because they never lose track of where they're at and how fortunate they're living. And I just think that for people, that's why I find it so sad when you hear the stupid bastard Representative Bowman screaming about fuck this and fuck that. He's saying, I'm going, what is your battle? Okay, I know he's hollering about the Palestinians. That's just a left-right build up to Trump savior. But still, he's up there like everything sucks. And I'm going, what are you blacks complaining about? Please go to the.
Not all blacks are complaining.
Not all blacks. I'm saying the blacks that are complaining, 70% of them. I'm saying, look,
well, then say that.
70%. So what I'm saying is,
and 70% of blacks aren't complaining.
Yes, they are. They're pissing and moaning like.
No, they're not. Show me the statistic.
Okay, stop.
Show me the statistic.
Okay. No, never mind.
This is last words here. Go ahead.
Yeah, really.
No, I'm not going to sit here and let a non-black person tell me what black people are thinking.
No, I'm not telling you. I'm saying I'm opinionating on what they are. So
you said blacks.
I said 70% of blacks.
Qualify your statements.
No, I don't need to. Anyway, yeah, wrap it up. So all I'm saying is go to the Patels, go to the Koreans, ask them what they came from. That's what I'm saying. I never had to. I looked in encyclopedias. I looked in there. You got information in the libraries of third world conditions. There was a guy on I'm not going to name his name, but he put it very well. Blacks are like stupid little children, fussing and fighting, complaining while they're living in a goddamn mansion. Thanks, John. I'll talk to you later, old buddy.
Oh, it's always my pleasure to have you here, Be Brave. I'm here Monday through Friday around this time. You're always welcome. You'll be always.
Thanks, John.
You come in. Oh, same for you, Master Kim. You're always at the top. Brave, I'm going to agree with you on this slight disagreement with Master
What's
Kim. I do think that blacks engage in too much leisure. Booker T. Washington talks about it. Yes. Master Kim, you may have been in a position, your family may have been in a position where they could go off to the baseball game.
have that experience.
Yes.
But I think for many blacks, it's too much leisure time. It's too much playing. It's too much rap music. Too much juking and jiving, dancing, screaming and shit about what you're unhappy with, instead of doing anything. And the things that they do, and the things that they show the most passion in, are sports and rap music and entertainment. If they put that zeal and interest in work and cleaning up their neighborhoods, I ride through the ghetto all the time and I see blacks at their leisure with trash blowing around their head.
Jesus, God.
If they could just, not all blacks, since Stanley's over there having a fit, but there are too many blacks in these black
Okay,
neighborhoods.
if 80% of blacks are not below the poverty line, somebody's not doing a lot of leisure time.
Well, I
You know,
imagine
some of the shit you say, you should really think before you say it.
Well, here's what I would say to you, Stanley. I've for the bulk of my life.
Okay, dude, I'm older than you are.
Yeah, that's true. So there's probably some overlap, and we've agreed on some things in the South about Emmett Till should have been told how to get along in the South. Us being Southern men, but the thing is, I've worked most of my life 2 jobs, even when I didn't have to. But I've gone in and out of blacks' homes, and if they're working one job, it's a half-ass job. And I think their salvation is taking away that leisure time. I have more blacks call me about their TV not working. They shouldn't even be watching TV. They should be in my houses just to take a shower. And out the work they go again. So that's what the immigrants are doing. And that by and large is who they're competing with. So with that Mexican, I somewhat disagree with you. You know,
I get your point there.
Once you get to a point in life, you can have leisure.
Yeah.
But there are too many blacks.
The successful blacks aren't living in your houses.
Well, but they're
Am I right or wrong?
That's correct. But the poor ones,
okay.
The poor ones that should be striving have the same leisure.
I agree with you there.
The poor ones that should be striving have the same leisure activities as the rich ones. They go to baseball games. They sit up all day watching Netflix.
Yep.
And they don't have 2 jobs. They have the life and leisure and the free time of people much better suited to them. And so I think that the salvation is there is people in the comments saying there are many jobs out here. These blacks that find this much free time, they need to fill some of these empty jobs. And I think if nothing else, they won't be at home beating their girlfriend ass.
And I'm going to get off after, and I'm going to say this and then jump off, John. I'm telling you, among white trash hillbillies, when they're lazy, shiftless, and lazy, they'll tell you they're lazy, shiftless, and lazy. They ain't trying to apologize for it, make excuses or nothing. They're loud and proud, shiftless, and lazy. At least do that as blacks rather than trying to blame some stupid shit on why you're listless and lazy. That's all I ask.
I know you got something to say, Stanley. We're back here tomorrow. We probably see you. We probably all be over at CT.
Yeah.
Everyone go to CT.
I enjoy it.
Hit the like button too. Hit the like button too, by the way, before you go. And Stanley, we'll be over at CT. I'm sure we'll chat.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
You guys.
Talk to y'all later.
Bye-bye. Yep, bye-bye. Thank you.